Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrities. Today we have Dr. Lohit Khera with us as our researcher celebrity. A brief introduction about Dr. Lohit. He has done his bachelor's in Biotek from MIT University, and then for PhD attended University of Delhi South Campus. Then for postdoctoral training, he moved from India to Israel and attended Weizmann Institute of Sciences, and then from Israel to the United States at LSU Health Science Center, and currently is at Norgen Biotech in Canada. So, in our conversation today, we are going to cover not only different aspects of science, but also about different parts of world, the research that happened there, and the socio cultural differences too. With this brief introduction, I would like to say thank you so much, Dr. Lohit, for taking time out for this conversation.
Of course, thank you so much for having me.
So, we always start our conversation with how and when you decided that you want to become a researcher.
That's an amazing question. So as you know, I was doing my BTech in biotechnology at Amity, and at that time, the idea was that right after BTech, we all of us just wanted to get placed into industry. That was the idea for everyone, as it was for me. But when the time for the placements came, we noticed that most of us are getting placed in IT companies. So that to me felt like I'm giving up on all my 4 years of work for biotechnology, and suddenly I go to IT and I forgo all of that. That wasn't good. And somewhere I heard that there is this exam. I didn't even know about this exam before, the net exam, CSIR net exam. So I found out about it, I think, in my fourth year of BTech Biotech, and someone said that if you qualify that exam, you can directly go for a PhD. You can skip the 2 years of masters. And I was like, come on, someone's just joking. It's not even possible. No one can do it. Looking at the stats, it's like no one has. Usually there's like one or two people out of all of the people who qualify, and even then there are difficulties. So I wasn't even thinking. I was going the regular route. I was getting placed. I in fact got placed in PepsiCo.
Mm-hmm.
Never joined, but I got placed in PepsiCo. And I don't know if you know this, but PepsiCo locations are usually very offbeat locations because they have to set up these kind of plants
Mm-hmm.
in very far off locations from cities. So that's one of the cities where I got my um, placement. But just because a friend called me, I still thank him to date. A friend just called me. He said, "Forms मिल रहे हैं." So
Mm-hmm.
the forms are available for CSIR net, and
Mm-hmm.
it's only 400 rupees for the form. Do you want me to fill it for you? I
Mm-hmm.
said, no, what's the use? It's we can't do it anyway. And he said, no, the form is 786 series, so it's lucky.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay.
So that was very funny. And I
Mm-hmm.
think, of course, so, because I did not want to let go of my biotechnology roots,
Mm-hmm.
so that thing was already there, that I want to stay in biotech. I want to be true to what I have learned, and I want to utilize this. I don't just want to sit in front of a computer and do coding, although it looks like now it has become also a part of
What?
biotechnology. But at that time it wasn't. We did not have that kind of exposure. So finally, yeah, so I think I we filled up the form, I gave the exam, and that was one exam that I gave with zero preparation, because I was
Mm-hmm.
like, Anyway, there's nothing gonna happen. We're just doing it for the fun of it, so it's okay." And I think because I was that stress free, I cracked.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So then the results came out, and then I was in Amity University. I shouldn't say it, but because it's a private university, some people actually underestimate it. Some
Mm-hmm.
people think that there's not, the level of education is not going to be that good because it's a private university. You have to pay a lot of fee to get in. So that kind of thing was still there. Because I qualified my net exam, people at University of Delhi were able to take me seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and I could go and do my dissertation, my final dissertation at University of Delhi in
Mm-hmm.
the lab of Professor Rani Gupta, who was at that time the head for Department of Microbiology.
Mm-hmm.
So I trained in her lab for 3 months. That was amazing experience. How things are actually done in a lab. Lab is main focus, theory is secondary. That is how research is done. So
Mm-hmm.
that was just an eye opener. And during that time, I was, of course, going and giving interviews at different places and all that, and trying to get in. It was difficult because I came from a BTech background and not a master's background. It was
Mm-hmm.
difficult. But finally, I could find a place within University of Delhi, within the same department of microbiology. So, that connection kind of helped.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, all that love for biotechnology, it gave way. And me, who did not have a master's, because in master's you have a stronger dissertation, you have a
Mm-hmm.
stronger touch for research. Me, not knowing almost anything, just jumped into it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very thankful to my PhD boss, my PhD guide from that time, who really trusted me, who saw something that probably I did not see, and he guided
Mm-hmm.
me, he helped me. So yeah, that was how I kind of got into research, not knowing what I'm going to do, how it's going to work out, uh, but for the sheer love of it, because it was something new will come out of it. It's not I'm not going to keep helping make the same PepsiCo, the same Pepsi that everyone has been drinking for I don't know how many decades. I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
something new.
Yeah.
That was what attracted me.
So this started a new thing in my brain, at least. So if we can take some time for the audience who are going to listen to this conversation
Mm-hmm.
with this like general set r- all around the globe is like
Mm-hmm.
after your education, your motivation is your job.
Uh-huh.
And then we have exceptional researchers like you who have a job in hand, but is not ready to join because they want to do something what they really love.
Mm-hmm.
Because I now you reminded me of my master's when I completed 80% of class was joining pharmaceuticals and we were biotechnologists. So I was like, I came up with this I thought that pharma companies who are not doing research are the
Mm-hmm.
graveyard for biotechnologists. Because what you are going to do there is you are doing to do just QC QA, that's the maximum you can do, or production or whatever, because that's not
Mm-hmm.
what you have been trained for. If you
Right.
are going downstream processing or working towards developing something new,
Mm-hmm.
then it when you are honoring or respecting your 2 years of masters,
Mm-hmm.
as you correctly chose and said that you were like, okay, I'm not going to give away on these 4 years just because I have a job. I'll
Mm-hmm.
do what I really want to do, even without not knowing that what absolutely I want to do,
True.
just with this sheer idea that, okay, I want to develop something new. That's it. And
Uh-huh.
then comes the role of the mentors, as you acknowledged your PhD supervisor.
Yes.
So now, from this young, passionate researcher who has no idea about research or have barely tasted that for 3 months. Now
Uh-huh.
let's just add, because you had that some pinch
Right.
of it, that okay,
Right.
how it feels like to be in lab.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were graduate students, I'm for sure, who were doing PhD, master students, and this scenario, the lab environment, which you can sense it. 3 months is a good enough time to have known this, that okay, do you really belong here or not?
True.
You felt it,
Mm-hmm.
you started that. So now let's start the journey of PhD, how it was.
Right. Yes. So I have had an amazing journey, I have to say. And I have to start with saying that, at that time I did not know this. This is an advice that I would give to students now. Do not go after the name of the institute. Do not think that, this is the project that I'm going to do. Choose the right boss. Choose the right PhD mentor. That's the most important thing. So at that time, when I was starting my PhD, back in University of Delhi, it was already an important thing. If you are not simply going and doing this industrial microbiology stuff, enzyme stuff, or plant stuff, if you are going and working with actually cell lines, right? Doing this cell culture, it itself was a thing that makes you a cut above the rest. We were actually one of the first labs that established a proper working cell culture room, and started working with all these different cell lines and working with experiments with cell lines. So it was a virology lab. The my PI, Dr. Rajiv Kaul, he's still there. He's now he's a full professor. At that time, he was new actually. I was his second student. So that's again, it's a big deal that just for his second student, he chose someone who did not even have proper research background. So I don't know what he saw. So yeah, we started the journey, and initially it was, learning one technique. Like initially we were doing cloning, we were working for on HCV, different genes, cloning different genes and seeing their effect when we express them in cell lines. So what happens? Basically, the idea was to understand the metastatic development of the hepatocellular carcinoma, and which protein might have a stronger role in that. So that was the main idea. So yeah, initially it was like, okay, let's learn to clone. And when I learned to clone, finally I started getting good clones, and the time is to move on. Next step is start to store to grow cells properly, start handling different cell lines. It's like, okay, that sounds exciting, let's do it. Then the next step was that, oh, now we are going to start expressing these proteins, purifying them, running these gels and all that. Now, at the back of my, looking back, it looks like these were just simply learning some small techniques, right? These are very small time, very basic techniques. It's nothing there. But, every few weeks or every few months, there's a new challenge. You're doing something new. And I think that was amazing, right? So you don't even know it, but if you have the right guide who has the right plan for you, for the lab, for the project, you don't even know it, and you are adding these skills, right? So it's not just that, okay, I know how to grow cells. No, I know how to maintain aseptic area for growing the cells. Just cell culture itself is like made up of, I don't know, 15, 20 different types of experiments, at least at that time, maybe even more now. So you never know, but you are adding these skills. And I think that is very important, to keep adding skills, to keep learning more. Another thing that he was very open to was collaborating with other labs. So yes, we are doing some projects in the lab. They might be, because each lab has a theme. So our projects might be similar in one way or the other. So, but let's collaborate with other labs. Let's see what they are doing. Let's help them. Let's take their help. Add more techniques. Teach them techniques so you become an expert in it. Take charge of things. So, own your project. So starting from, just learning a technique, failing at it, doing it again, and within 3 to 4 years, I was, helping students from other labs do their stuff, troubleshooting. So that was amazing. And now, of course, you can't simply just keep learning things, keep doing things. You have to produce results, and we were producing results. But that is the time when you start to understand that having results is nothing if you don't publish them.
Publish.
Right. So, so I was there in my, I think, fourth, fifth year of PhD, zero publication. I had almost nothing. There was maybe one very small publication with one of the master students, and it was for their dissertation. So it was their publication, not my publication. And then, even not just my guide, actually, I have to say, maybe not my guide. He wasn't that worried. He knew what we have, right? But my co-guides, co-supervisors, everyone was like getting worried that what's this guy doing? Why did we trust him so much? He's coming from this bachelor's background. Is he going to make it? Is something going to happen or not? And I think the next 1 year, 1.5 year, I finished my PhD, 6 publications.
Wow.
So, everything kind of happened at the same time. Now, I'm not saying all of them are research articles. Two of them were actually review articles.
Revert.
That doesn't make it that doesn't make it, less important. It takes a
Absolutely.
lot of work. So, and that was like when I presented my PhD thesis at the end of my PhD, and everyone was like, when did you do all of this? Because we never saw you seriously working. And I was like, okay, I think I got lucky. And it's true. At that time,
Uh-huh.
maybe I thought that I just got lucky,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But yeah, that was my PhD. So yeah, really, now when I look back at it, yeah, I think I should have been more proud of it than I was. Uh, because but that's also a good thing, right? When you have all kind of people around you, not just your guide, but other people, the entire department, they really make you grounded.
Yeah.
So don't think
I,
that just because you have more publications, now you're gonna be a big shot, or you're gonna, you just have something and people are ready to accept you with open arms. The world is very big. There are people
Mhm.
who have done or are doing much better as well. So don't
Yes.
think that that's enough. You have made enough effort. Nothing is enough.
No, I think to if I have to reiterate this, I'll say to all the PhD scholars that there are a lot of critics around you. As Lohit correctly said, that they are there to keep you grounded. I always say that keep your head above the level of water. Just don't sink because of what they are saying, or if somebody is criticizing either your research question or your experiments or your results. If you know what you are doing is correct, be patient. One thing which I always say that never be overconfident about your results. Lesson learned, and I am sure that all the researchers will share this with me, that if you get negative results, it's still easy to start troubleshooting. But if you are missing something in your positive results, if that one observation is missing, you are happy what you got, you'll publish it, and then in the rest of the world, nobody else can reproduce that result. So if you are missing this small piece of that bigger puzzle, you are troubling the entire world. So
Mm-hmm.
if you get something positive, be sure that what you're getting is reproducible, and anywhere, anyone in this world can do that. That is the success of your data. For all the PhD students, I know it's a lot of stress, especially when the failed experiments, which now we'll go to with Lohit, because PhD doesn't
Uh-huh.
come that easily to
Uh-huh.
anyone in the world, especially in India. There are different type of constraints, but some of them you already answered, that your PI was very collaborative. So you
Mm-hmm.
have this add-on people to look for, either it is for resources or it is for suggestions or sharing your data with. So that
Mm-hmm.
is one part. But still, what is missing here is things you have done have not worked out,
Uh-huh.
and now you are stressed. Your family sees that, okay, he's not eating, not sleeping properly. They are stressed. Your friends are stressed. How you handled that, and based on your experience in research, academia, as well as in industry, what you can suggest our PhD students who are going to listen this conversation.
Right, right. That definitely rings some bells. All of us have been there. So yes, actually, in the second year, I believe, of the PhD, when we were actually starting to do the real experiments, starting to see the effects of the treatments that we wanted to do. So we had like, you have a hypothesis, and then you start to prove that hypothesis or disprove it. So that's actually very important. When you start with a hypothesis, the plan is to either prove it or say that it doesn't happen. The plan is not with a single mind that I have to prove it, right? Keep your eyes open. The observations tell you the real truth. The real truth is not in the hypothesis, but in the observations. That is something that I would say openly that some of us sometimes forget. Even some of the PIs sometimes forget. And I think the more experienced we become, the more strong-headed sometimes people become. That no, if I have hypothesized this, it has to work. It doesn't. Research doesn't work that way. There is a lot that we still don't understand, and this is why research will always go on. So that's something that happened with me as well. So the hypothesis that we started with, that kind of, we were not seeing those kind of results as we expected. Maybe there was something, but maybe the effect was too little. It wasn't enough to prove something. So that was something that, again, I have to give credit to my PI, Dr. Rajiv Kaul. He was very open to the idea that, okay, I understand that this is not working. Let's make sure that it's not working. Let's try it all the different ways before we move on. That was the only thing. So yes, we did try everything. While trying everything, he taught me one important lesson. Keep your eyes open for the observations. We understand this, our hypothesis is not working. But is there something else that's happening? Is there something else noticeable that's happening? Is there something that is unique to one experiment and not to all the others when you change certain things? And is this unique thing, is it now repeatable if you keep everything this way? Is it always happening? So that's very important, right? And that's basically, publication grade research. If you have something that is, one, it's new. Second, it is repeatable. You change, a little bit of, of course there has to be repeatability in different hands and repeatability in different locations and all that. We can talk about all of that. That's out of the scope of, just lab based research that we do, but at least we repeat it the best we can. And if we keep seeing this effect, and this is, interesting and new, so that's what we were seeing. We found something new that came out of it. And again, as I said, that sometimes I do feel that I got lucky. The something new that I was seeing, my PI he did his postdoc in USA, and during his postdoc, he had seen something similar in a different setting. So he was able to make that connection quickly, and he gave me some new ideas like, you know what, let's try this. And if this is able to revert it, this is able to fix it, there you have your project. And lo and behold, we tried it. It actually worked. It was more potent than we thought it was. So, yes, there was a time in the middle where I saw that, well, yeah, this is my hypothesis and it's not working. So, for me, that was probably like the end of the world. But that's because, that's just an immature, new researcher who doesn't know that there's always, other things. So trust your PIs. That's also something very important. Sometimes we think like that, why is he stuck with this idea? Why is he making me do these things that are not working? Well, we have to make sure that if it's not working, it is not working. We have to make sure that if there is something that I think is actually working, repeat it 3 times, 4 times, 10 times. Until we are sure of it, we can't really go and say to the scientific community that I have found something new. So
Absolutely. And now I totally see that the way Thomas Alva Edison, when people were criticizing him, and then he's like, no, I know what all you cannot use for the bulb as the filament. So that's exactly what you are mentioning. That so I think one thing which I have felt now is changing in India for the PhD scholars, that now the PIs have this early meetings, when they are just recruiting the PhD students, that okay, what are your expectations from this lab or me as a mentor, and
Mhm,
vice versa, which was missing. Like if we say just a decade ago, it was
mhm,
not there. They were like, okay, you join a lab, you are given a project where you do everything, whatever the PI says, you do it, you have your PhD in your hand, and then after PhD, you join a lab where you have to do troubleshooting. But
mhm,
just because you have never experienced that in your PhD, now it is impossible for you to even start thinking. Then the world is like, all spinning that how this thing is not working.
mhm,
Because there, all the lanes were so well laid that, okay, step A, step B, publication, project, thesis, done. You are done. You are now a doctor, and nobody can deny it. But what the most important thing was missing there was the troubleshooting part. As you mentioned,
Mhm.
all researchers in the world will agree that observation is the key. But what are we looking at? Are we looking at presence of something or absence of something? Are we open for whatever it comes?
Mhm.
Because the moment you mentioned that, the moment we know or we hypothesize something, we already have a bias. It
Yep.
might work this way. It should work this way. And then again, the more you have worked with some system, the more I like the word you said, that the more mature you are, the more stubborn you become. That, okay, now because I know with the experience of a decade that this thing should work this way. Whereas a young, immature researcher joining for PhD, and then the PI or the seniors, whatever they are saying, they're like, oh, oh, is it like that? Okay, I think it should work that way. They are more malleable. They are more open to learn this way. And I feel I have had fortune to have conversation with few of the best top tier scientists, professors in our field of research, and the amount of, I will say that they are so ground to earth. Like I always quote Professor Ethan Beer, one of my postdoctoral uh, mentor. He start this conversation with, what I'm saying might be wrong, which most of the time I am. This professor saying, who
Yep.
started a new venue for, like, genetics, active genetics, what not. He started that. Nobody knew before that what active genetics is. And now, even if uh, the audience who are listening to this, if you start looking for active genetics, you'll see that Ethan Beyer is the professor who coined this term. And if you'll have conversation with him, he's still just like that. So the biggest strength of a mentor is that they have faith in you. They are there to guide you, but you also have to have that faith in them that whatever they are saying, they know what they are doing. You
Mhm.
might be in a longer run, as Lohit now can say that, okay, he at that point of time was like, why I have to do all of this? It's not working. But your mentor knows what they are, and then again, these conversation with them, as and more frequent, I'll say always, like sometimes there are in lab meetings, sometimes when you are doing one-on-one meeting, that, hey, it is not working. What is the reason behind this? Let's make all over a new project, either from a different aspect or whatever.
Mhm.
So now when you had this, your PhD, miracle in the last year, what made you change that, okay, now it is time to leave country?
Oh, that was a big one, right? I don't know. I hope Trump administration is not listening to this. So
Sure.
my PhD ended in 2017, and during that time, Trump administration came on, the first one, and I don't know what happened. Right, the research around the world, researchers, scientists around the world, everyone was so worried, and it was an actual phenomenon. People started leaving USA, coming back to India.
Mhm.
That was something just crazy, right? All this time when I was doing my PhD, I saw my guide, my co-guide, everyone has come back from the States. So they all have connections. I could maybe leverage
Mhm.
something from there. I could maybe make it. I could directly go to the States. And it's an open thing now that everyone who is doing a PhD in India, they really, really want to get a postdoc experience abroad. It's
Mhm.
definitely worth it, and USA is definitely the number one choice for that, for most of us. That was the same for me. Uh, but when I saw that people are just coming back, so that was definitely not the right time to go to the States.
Mhm.
Second thing was, okay, if this is not the right time to go to the States, what is my second option? My second option was, I actually, if I'm saying this honestly, I thought that I should try to switch to industry,
Mhm.
because I did not see myself as somebody who has patience to the level to do the kind of work my bosses were doing, with
Mhm.
writing these grants, making sure that the lab is well funded, being responsible for so many students,
Yes.
PhD is, it's like being responsible for their future life in a way.
So true.
That was too big of a burden, right? So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to go that direction. So I thought then I should move to industry.
Mm.
So I started giving some interviews in the industry. I was in Delhi. I was giving some
Mm-hmm.
interviews for around myself in Delhi. And it okay, I hope this does not upset any of the audience. But at that time, the kind of salaries that were being offered, man, that was like, it's a dream crusher.
It is
After
still.
5 years, 6 years that you put in yourself to do a PhD, and the salaries that you are offered, they are less than the fellowship that you were getting.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. So I have to say, it really did crush me
Mm-hmm.
temporarily.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as that started happening, I understood, okay, so I have to find something else.
Mm.
I don't want to continue. I don't want to do more postdoc in India.
Mm.
Industry is definitely very difficult to get into with this kind of salary. I was already married. I can't even afford
Mm.
to live that way. So I actually started, you have to change your mindset
Yes.
somehow. You have to find a way to get out of that negative spiral that nothing
Mm-hmm.
is happening. I might have to give up. I might have to give
Mm.
in. You have to find a mantra to change
Yes.
mindset. So what I what I found was, instead of saying that I can't make it in India and I can't go to USA, I actually found a mantra. I said, looks like India can't afford me
Mm-hmm. Good one.
at that time. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to say it for now. I see that things are changing. Things were changing at that time. Everything is working in the right direction. So nothing,
Mm-hmm.
no disrespect for anybody. But at that time, just to save myself from that negative mindset, I just thought that, right now, India can't afford me. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
have to go somewhere where they can afford me.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Secondly,
Optimism.
yes, then there was simply, the other thing was, I heard, if you're looking for a postdoc, write to everybody who has a postdoc position open in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't do that, man. No way.
I don't think anyone can. I agree with
Yeah.
that part. Yes.
So I have heard actually stories, and now at the other end of it, because I was also involved in hiring process in my
Mm-hmm.
postdoc labs, we
Mm-hmm.
used to see such applications, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's so clear, visible in that application that the person who wrote it put no effort.
Yeah.
It's simple, straight application, nothing in the email body, and it's no cover letter, just that resume that they're sending to everyone.
Yes.
I don't know how it works for them. I don't know if it works for them. But my idea was, okay, I am only and only selectively going to apply only for the positions where I think I can make a difference,
Yes.
only at places where I think I and my wife can go and live. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to waste, these are researchers. I'm not going to waste their time, not going to spam their email with applications where I'm not serious.
So true.
So I think I was suggested to write like 100 applications a month at least, or something like
Oh
that
my God.
at that
Mm-hmm.
time. I think what I did was I wrote maybe 10,
Mm-hmm.
and I got two responses.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the two responses, one of them I was able to carry the conversation further.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's how it clicked. That was
In
Weizmann
Israel.
Institute of Sciences in Israel, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I was a bit skeptical because, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's Israel. Things
Mm-hmm.
can go wrong at any point of time. I don't know how it
Mm-hmm.
is. Fortunately, I had a senior researcher, my batch senior, who was in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I connected with him. There were other people who had collaborations in Israel. I talked to them.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone I talked to, they said the same thing. If it's
Mm-hmm.
Weizmann Institute of Israel, Lohit, do
Mm-hmm.
not think twice. Just go.
Mm-hmm. Go. Yeah.
So that's how that happened.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, my lab work in my PhD was
Mm-hmm.
virus associated cancer research.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm expressing viral proteins,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end, obviously, also infecting cell lines with viruses and
Mm-hmm.
seeing how cancer development, cancer metastasis happens from there. right?
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
is very fortunate because
Mhm.
I'm coming from microbiology lab, so I know all the microbiology, Department of Microbiology. I know virology because I have
Mhm.
done virus expression, virus infections. I know protein expression and all that. And I also know cancer cell biology.
Mhm.
So that, I had that trio. So I was
Mhm.
like, the world is open now. I can do a lot of things. So that's how I kind of started finding things. And I got this lab that was Core Cancer Research Lab, Professor Seema
Mhm.
Lev, in Department of Molecular Cell Biology.
Mhm.
Core Cancer Research Lab, cancer cell biology. And man, in the beginning, everything was like just going like that. It was
Mhm.
okay. So this is how the research is done in European way, in the Western way.
Mhm.
Okay, I have to grasp that much. Amazing.
Mhm.
Wow. So there was, I have to say, I have to address this here. In the beginning, I was told, not told, but there was these kind of things that you hear about yourself, that a lot of people go out to do their postdoc, and we have seen them struggle. And this guy, he takes everything so lightly. How
Mhm.
will he do it?
Nice.
Does he have it in him to do a postdoc in the
Mhm.
West? I
Mhm.
don't think so. Does he know how much work he has to do?
Mhm.
Now, I have to say, we already talked about it. Criticism to some level is good, but if you start paying heed to it, it
Mhm.
can harm you.
Yes.
So what I thought about that was that yes, doing a postdoc in the West, or in, even in a higher developed country, or more
Mhm.
research focused country, it's going to be very difficult, and I have to give my everything if I have to make it.
Yep.
And I did.
Mhm.
I did make it. I survived there for 3.5 years, got 2 or 3 publications out of the lab, led a research project. Everything happened. But I have to say it, I had very strong imposter syndrome.
Mhm. Um,
Every step of the way, I was like, I don't belong here. Maybe the people were right. Maybe I don't have it
uh-huh.
to do it. Every time I would get a negative result, every time I get like 2 or 3 negative results in a row, every time a month has passed and don't have anything to show, I would start to think again that, maybe they were right. Maybe I don't have it in me. Maybe I can't do it. So, so I have to say it really impacts you. So one thing that is very, very important to understand is these countries, yes, they are doing maybe 10 times more than some of the Indian labs, not all. Now in India, again, I know that there are some institutes that are doing world-class research as good or even better. But overall, if we look at the overall picture, maybe
Mhm.
yes, they are doing things 10 times more, 10 times faster. That's not because people are working 10 times faster. People are people, they have their capacity, right?
True.
They may have 10 times better resources,
Yes.
right? They may have 10 times better funding.
Yes.
That is what's making the difference.
Mhm.
You are the same person. If you have that kind of research orientation, if you have the understanding, if you are ready to put in the work, you will make it. It's okay.
True.
Don't think that it's going to be extremely difficult. If people are saying that you take things lightly, well, if you are taking things lightly, you would not even be able to complete a PhD. So if you have done that,
That's I was about to say that when you said that this imposter syndrome kicked into you during your postdoc, I'm
Mhm.
like the researchers I have met and over like 160 odd episodes of Researcher Celebrity. This comes in, then I think if I can recall that better, since the day they are born and they know that what they are doing, that's the when it comes. And even at age of 80, they still feel the same. So
True.
it never leaves. And I know the other way also, as you mentioned, that when people are saying things about you, like you are a life example for today, like during your PhD, they were saying, does he have what it takes? Your postdoc in Israel there. And then we'll cover the United States parts. And now when you are in Canada, how are you liking it?
Okay, so one thing that I have to say, India to Israel was a big jump
Mm-hmm.
in terms of resources, in terms of things that were available to me, like, uh, so that was a big jump itself. And I saw that, oh, this is how research can also be done. Wow, that's the level of resources and funding available. And that is actually because, I did not have a lot of different interactions when I was in my PhD. But when I was in Israel, I started seeing this thing, this pattern, that the more you are open to asking for help, the
Yes,
more success you will have.
absolutely.
Go and discuss with the senior professors. And that's where this thing also, I started noticing that, okay, if you are talking to somebody who is really successful, like
Mm-hmm.
not successful in money or successful in publication, but successful as in, you can see that, right, that this is a professor who has made it, right?
Yes.
So you'll be very afraid that, am I going to waste his time? Come on, like he's a big shot. Why
Mm-hmm.
do I have to go and talk to this guy? No, my research is nothing. But all these guys who are big shots, who have made it, they are so humble,
Yes.
are so good to talk to. They will take your research, every smallest experiment, so seriously, and they are happy to help. They are so happy to help. So that is one thing that I started understanding, that, you know what, this is what I have. If I am going to make it tomorrow, this is what I have to maintain.
Yes.
That's very important. Be always ready to help the others, learn the value of pay it forward. So
Mm-hmm.
that was very, very important. Israel was an amazing experience in terms of so many things, because if that did not happen, then I would not have become a real researcher, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
So the kind of grounding that I had and everything, that helped to, put that kind of effort that is needed, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But only after you work among all these biggies, you really start to see that, okay, this is where the world research is heading. This
Mm-hmm.
is what is happening. This is what actually impacts the world. So that was amazing. I learned a lot from so many different people. In Israel, I also learned, how to work with people who were just born in a different country. They have a completely different way of thinking, how to overcome the language barrier. English
Mm-hmm.
is not my first language, English is not their first language.
Mm-hmm.
So, how to overcome the language barrier, how to work with people who have completely different expertise. There is
Mm-hmm.
one person in the lab who is a bioinformatician, and he is a core bioinformatician. You want
Mm-hmm.
something out of him, you have to learn to speak his language,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was an amazing eye opener,
Mm-hmm.
just crazy experience. And
Mm-hmm.
again, one more thing. I know that we keep hearing these news about Israel, about what's happening there and whatnot. It's a beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, very warm people. If you know about North Indians, Punjabis, like I am a Punjabi. So just like Punjabis are, we are very warm. We are very complaining, but we are very warm, very nice to each other, loud. That is how Israel is. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they speak a different language, yes, but that is what I would say my experience in Israel was. Very warm culture, complaining all the time about all the things, but at the core, at the heart, they're very warm. They really want to help. Even if they don't know your language, they will go out of the way to find the stuff that you need. So that was amazing. Food is amazing. Weather is amazing. I have not seen more beautiful beaches in my life. Maybe I have not traveled to other many other locations, but the part that I have covered of the world, amazing place. But of course, it's Israel. It's not. I don't think they even have like pathways to citizenship. I'm pretty sure they don't. So you don't get too comfortable, and that I would say for any postdoc, right? Don't get too comfortable in your postdoc. A postdoc is a limited time experience. Get the
Mm-hmm.
experience, get the output, and move on. That's very
Yeah.
important. Don't become a perennial postdoc. So,
Mm.
my plan was that after this, I want to head to Canada because of the citizenship things, the permanent
Uh-huh.
residence pathways, and all that.
Uh-huh.
USA was still, a little bit of sour taste in my mouth. So I did not want to
Mm-hmm.
go to USA. So my plan was to go to Canada. I already applied for my permanent residency. So one thing,
Mm-hmm.
again, if anybody is listening who wants to go for Canadian permanent residency, we as researchers, as PhD researchers, we have all the tools that are needed. We can do all of it by ourselves. Don't fall in trap for all these agents and all those
Oh
agencies
yeah.
and things. We can do all of it by ourselves. I did all of it by myself for myself and my wife, and we applied for Canadian PR in 2019. uh,
Wow.
we were ready to move in the mid of 2020, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone knows what happened in the spring of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
COVID breakout, and that's it. There were our dreams, postponed indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
We never knew what's going to happen. Fortunately, my work in my lab in Israel, that was, I was able to continue that. I was able to participate in more projects. So
Mm-hmm.
I did not lose my job or something. So I
Mm-hmm.
continued working there, but it did end in 2021 March.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to India. I was like, okay, let's take a break. COVID was very stressful time, being away from family, being away from
Mm-hmm.
home. That was all of that was very stressful. All those projects that we did, everything. So I was like, okay, let's take a break and let's plan properly with empty mind. So I took a
Mm-hmm.
break, not a break because I took a break from hands-on research, but I was still writing. I was still
Oh
writing
yeah.
my review article and research and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then almost like an invitation came from USA, because there
Mm-hmm.
was this Dr. Rohit Jangra. He
Mm-hmm.
was starting his own lab.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a very successful researcher from Albert Einstein Institute in New York. He was an assistant research professor there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he was moving from there and opening his own lab, starting his own
Mm-hmm.
lab in Shreveport, LSU, HS.
Mm-hmm.
And he knew me because he came to deliver talks while I
Mm-hmm.
was doing my PhD in University of Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
I attended his talks, and I even had a fortune. I was fortunate enough that I even, interacted with him outside of his talks as well. So
Mm-hmm.
he kind of knew me. He knew about my work. He also knew my PhD guide. So
Mm-hmm.
that is how the connection was made. And he was like that, I talked to your boss, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for someone who I can trust to start
Mm-hmm.
a new lab. And he said your name.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful to my PhD guide.
Mm-hmm.
He made that connection happen, and he said, "Would you like to go to USA now?" And I'm like, "No way! I'm not going to USA. I am going to Canada,
Mm-hmm.
and for my PR, there are some rules. If I get my PR, which I think I should get any day now, I will
Mm-hmm.
not be able to live outside of Canada for too long." So my boss said, my PhD guide told me that, you know what, Rohit, you should never say no to an opportunity without
Mm-hmm.
actually talking to the guy. At least be
Mm-hmm.
respectful. Talk to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
said, of course, I'm not saying that
Mm-hmm.
of course I will talk to the guy. All I'm saying is I'm going to say a no. My
Mm-hmm.
answer is already final. He said, okay. So
Mm-hmm.
I started talking to Rohit, Dr. Jangra, and he laid out about his plans and about his virology lab, and then the love of virology that started, lighting up again in my head. And I was like, man, this research project is so interesting, so good. I don't know. And then, something that I was too sure of, that my Canadian PR is coming tomorrow. I was like, I don't know, maybe Canada will delay some things. I don't know even if it will come or not, but this project now is sounding too
Yes.
interesting. So
Mm-hmm.
that is something that happens with all of us. I think
Yeah.
once an idea gets into our head, and we think that we can do something here, we can really contribute to it. Like, no, I have to do it. And
Yes.
all my family, everyone, they know that, okay, he's talking to some guy and he's never gonna go to USA. He of course has this, sour experience from before and all that. And I was like, let's do it. I'm going to USA now. I surprised everyone, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the States, worked with Dr. Jangra. That was another new experience. Now, from India to Israel was more extreme difference than it was from India to USA.
Mhm.
because at least I know how to speak English, how to read
Yeah,
English.
that's
In
true.
Israel, all those difficulties were there. But at the same time, now I'm not saying I was at a top-notch institute in USA. I
Mhm.
was at Louisiana State Uni. It's a state university. State universities
Mhm.
are not like the top-notch thing.
Mhm.
But probably because the kind of experience and the kind of background my PI had,
Mhm.
things that I was doing in USA, the
Mhm.
resources that I was seeing, and the
Mhm.
confidence that he showed in me to
Mhm.
make me actually lead
The
the
role.
team, right?
Mhm.
To teach me how to lead the team, to trust
Mhm.
me with that. That was something amazing. That
Mhm.
really was like a completely different experience. I became from a researcher to a kind of a leader, that I'm leading my,
Mhm.
I am helping others, I'm doing something from the lab, really, really important. That was
Mhm.
amazing. Stayed there for 2 years, did the best part I could with my limited time, because of my Canadian PR, which I eventually received in January 2022. I
Mhm.
had to move out of USA, come here to make sure that I do not lose my eligibility for stuff.
Mhm.
But that was amazing. So we did actually in those 2 years had the lab up and running, and I'm proud to say that I had some part to play in that. So yeah, that was my experience in USA. So coming from virus associated cancer biology, going to core cancer biology,
Mhm.
COVID changes the world. Everyone
Mhm.
is now suddenly interested in
Oh,
virology.
cool.
So
Yeah.
coming back to a virology lab, which completely is actually a lab dedicated to researching emerging viral infections
Mhm.
like COVID. So
Mhm.
that is where I did 2 years of work in studying emerging viruses. I was working with hantaviruses. So
Mhm.
it's very interesting topic. If anyone wants to read about it, it's amazing.
Mhm.
But yes, after that, I finally moved out. And
Mhm.
that one thing that I said in the beginning, that after my PhD, already I knew that I don't have it in me to
Mhm.
actually have my own lab, become a professor.
Mhm.
So I always knew that one day I'm going to move out and go to the industry.
And now
So
you are.
yes, so that was I should say that this is the final move. There's been
Mhm.
a lot of movement. So now I'm in Canada, and that was again something, until you do it, until you are ready to do it, you don't really know. A move from academia to industry is again a very crazily different environment. It
Cool.
was also a move from USA to Canada.
Mhm.
So it was a combination of different moves. And I thought to myself that let's combine everything and do it at once. If I go to
Mhm.
Canada and start doing a postdoc again, I know
Mhm.
myself I will get too invested in the project, and I don't know if I will ever leave.
Yeah. This is the
So
vicious cycle which most of us are unable to leave for sure.
yeah, so I was like, you know what? Even if I have to, I will board the flight, go to Canada, land there, even without a job offer. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. But I'm
Mhm.
not going to join a postdoc again because I won't be doing justice to myself or that lab.
Sure.
So I just made my plan that no, that's what I'm going to do. And actually, that is what I did. I
Mhm.
did book my flights, and I already knew that this is the date I'm flying.
Mhm.
And it was much after that that I finally got a job offer.
Mhm.
And I told them that, okay, you know what? This is the date I'm coming anyway. So if you
Mhm.
are ready or not,
Mhm.
if you offer me the job, then I will start looking for accommodation accordingly. If not, I
Mhm.
will find it somewhere else. But I am
Yeah.
coming on this date, doesn't matter. And I will
Mhm.
come and pay you a visit no matter what, even if you don't offer me a
Mhm.
job. Uh,
Mhm.
but well, I have to say that once again, I was maybe lucky, fortunate, however you want to call it. But yes, now I got my job offer beforehand, so I knew where I was going right after I landed, and that's Norgen Biotechnology, Norgen Biotech, I should say.
Mhm.
This is again, so it's amazing experience because although it's industry,
Mhm.
the founder and CEO of this company is actually a research scientist.
Mm-hmm.
Is a retired professor,
Mm-hmm.
and the focus of the company is not just sell products, it's
Mm-hmm.
R&D. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't just sell. We
Mm-hmm.
make the products at the same location. So I have access to the lab.
Mm-hmm.
I see the products working in front of me. I see the products being improved in front of me. I see new products being developed and launched, and I'm a
Mm-hmm.
part of all of it. So
Mm-hmm.
I hear about the development. Sometimes I'm able to even participate in that. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
then I am able to do the science communication about these new products, how they are better, why we
Mm-hmm.
use them instead of what's already existing. I am
Mm-hmm.
also helping our global customer base to how to troubleshoot their experiments while using our products, how to choose the right product for you, right? Not all kind of kits do all kind of things.
True.
And then sometimes even help them design their entire project around, so around their hypothesis and how we
Mm-hmm.
think that our thought can maybe take it into their choice of direction.
Yeah.
So now it's even more amazing. It's like instead of coming out of academia,
You're
I
deep
have
into it.
actually, I'm a part of industry officially, but it
Uh-huh.
looks like now I'm working with the scientists around the world.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They
So
are
true.
doing all kind of different things. Now, you might be doing proteomics, you might be doing cell-free DNA, cancer biomarker research, rare disease research,
Mm-hmm.
NIPT. You might be doing anything, and I can talk to you because I know how my product can participate in it. But to know that, I also have to understand what you are doing.
Yes.
So now I'm kind of, how they say it, like jack of all trades kind of things. So
So true.
it's like that for me right now. Really enjoying it. One thing that people already know very well about Canada, right? The values, inclusivity, uh,
Mm-hmm.
diversity, harmony, and it's like I don't know about all other workplaces because that's the only place that I have worked. But when
Mm-hmm.
I go to my job at Norgen Biotech, I see that. I see diversity, inclusivity, harmony, how, within this company, all these small departments, everything is working together. We have people from all around the world, all kind of backgrounds, all kind of work backgrounds, all kind of technical backgrounds, and how everyone comes together to make it work. So it looks like that I go to work for Canada and I go to
Mm-hmm.
work for Norgen Bio.
Nice. Very good. So I will say that to all the audience that if they want to contact directly Dr. Lohit, they can find them. If you want Empowering Science Foundation to help you and connect with our researcher celebrities, we are there to help you, to take you wherever you want to go. The only thing which is needed from your side is this passion, which Dr. Lohit has shared with you, that sometimes you choose your research over a job which you have in hand, and in future you might have a job, or sometimes when you already have decided that you don't want, you are ready to say no before the interview, and then just because you have that researcher soul in you, that you just get away with the project, and then you're like, okay, you know what, let's just move, let's do this also. And to Lohit, I will say that this conversation was great for all the researchers, budding researchers who have, you know, had the fortune to hear to you. But one thing which I can tell you about you is like, once a researcher, always a researcher. There is no looking back.
That is
So no matter where you go, no matter what you do, you'll always be on the edge. And again, for the audience, all the time when Lohit has said luck, fortune, it was hard work, observation, which he had. It is just everything is bundled into humble. And that's why he's so humble. He's just acknowledging everyone, not taking, pride or whatsoever on that, what all he has done. So you have seen him being humble all over through this, and express that how he met these people who were such a great mentors. So this is one thing which I always request to all the researchers, that try to be a little bit more human, because even when you are signing into something, they ask for what, are you a human? So without humble, you cannot be human. That's again my personal thing. With this, I'll say thank you so much, Lohit. This conversation was great learning process for me, and I hope this will help a lot of generations of researchers to come. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you for having me. And yeah, that's the that you've put it very well. Now, I think I will start taking pride in being humble now.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great time and good luck with your research. All the audience, stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity, and keep doing whatever makes you happy. If research happens to be that, we are there to help you. Thank you. Bye bye.